Three, two, one, here we go. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian the Rain Man Lucas. Welcome to Rain Man's Take, observations on the world we live in. We're going to take a deeper dive into topics of interest to me, including politics, current events, history, popular culture, and social issues. You'll find the diversity of topics refreshing. In our clickbait, soundbite society, we rarely get the whole story. Rain Man's Take interviews interesting people as well as peeling back the onion on specific topics, all with the goal of getting people to think more deeply about a subject. Hey everybody, it's the Rain Man. Welcome back. I want to introduce my guest, Greg Lilly. Not only my guest, but an old friend of mine as well. His day job, Greg owns a company called General and Mechanical Services in Maryland. However, that's not why I wanted to have him on today. He also runs a charity called Fish for a Cure, and it's an annual fishing tournament that raises money for cancer research. So that's the main reason why I wanted to have Greg on today. I figure it's a perfect time of year for this type of conversation. If anybody's out there and maybe they haven't finished off their charitable giving for the 2020 year for tax purposes, this is a great foundation. And if not this one, maybe it'll get you thinking about something else to donate some funds for. It's been a rough year all the way around, and be a nice way to end off the year. So, with that being said, Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, Brian. Good to see you.
All right, good to see you as well. I love it. You got the Maryland flag in the background. You got the Lacrosse helmet over your right shoulder. I'm sure we'll be touching on that today.
Yeah, good. Begrudgingly on the Maryland flag, but you know.
I love it. So let's do this, Greg. Why don't you just kind of give me a quick kind of your background, and then from there we'll kind of get into how you started Fish for a Cure.
Yeah, sure. So, I grew up here in Maryland, right outside of Annapolis, Maryland. I currently live right outside of Annapolis, about 2 miles from the Naval Academy. I went to high school locally here at St. Mary's High School in Annapolis, and then proceeded up to Johns Hopkins, where, of course, I met you and met a lot of good teammates playing the sport of lacrosse, and had just a lot of fun up there. Got an education and got out and started working. That's what I've been doing for a long time now. So
hard to believe it's like 31 years.
31 years, man. 31 hard years.
You don't look too bad, brother. You don't look too bad.
Well, thank you.
So let's talk about the Fish for a Cure. When did you start it, and what was the impetus for starting it?
Yeah, so it started initially. I had started this tournament, and it was not called Fish for a Cure. It was it started out as a tournament that I just wanted to get something going locally. I'm an avid fisherman. I started fishing when I was probably 12 or 13 years old with a friend who taught me a lot. And then after I got out of college and was in the work world, a good friend of mine and I started working together, and we started fishing quite a bit. And I just felt the fall here on the Chesapeake Bay is really a beautiful time of the year to be on the water. And we have a unique opportunity to catch some of the fish that are from your home state, and they come down and they load up on all the bait fish this time of year. So we get some opportunities for some bigger fish during this time of year. So I started this tournament to get friends and family together, and it was initially called Swallow My Lure. So that's when it started, and that was in 2007. Fast forward, we had some personal things that went on with my wife, and she had cancer, and it was an interesting type of cancer. We now know it's what's called Lynch syndrome. At the time, we weren't aware of that, but when that happened after that first year of the fishing tournament, and then some of the guys that I went out and knocked on their doors to get them involved, they approached me during the time that Christy was going through treatments, and they were like, hey, anything we could do to help keep this tournament going, we're going to do it for you. Nice. So then we decided to make it a charitable tournament. Initially, people wanted to help the Lilly family, which wasn't necessarily a focus, so we decided to donate proceeds that could help others. So it started out where Christy was seen first here locally at Anne Arundel Medical Center. Then David Petramala helped facilitate getting us visit to Hopkins, which then put us up to Sloan Kettering in New York. So the first 2 years, we actually donated the proceeds to genetic research up at Sloan Kettering in New York City. Then after that first 2 years, the local hospital, we had a breakthrough with them to where they were pretty cautious about who they would partner with. Right. And I was like, I think it would be a good move if we got together and did this. And it's been a great relationship ever since. So
this thing's been going on for 12 years.
Yeah, more. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So
that's amazing. So jump back real quick. So the first year, 2007, it was just you and a bunch of buddies on a fishing tournament.
Yes.
Kind of off the cuff. Hey, let's do a fishing tournament. And then Chrissy gets sick, and then all of a sudden the whole focus changes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so party number 1 ended at 4 a.m. By the way.
You know what I know about fishermen is that's not rare. That seems to happen all the time on a boat.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So let's talk. What I'm really interested in is so let's call it 2008. Christy gets sick, and so you change the focus of the tournament. How big was it the first year?
First year, we may have had 10 to 12 boats that participated, and we had terrible weather. We had gale force winds, so we made it a 2-day tournament, which is kind of unusual. So then the second year, when we made it more of a charitable event, we increased it to, say, in the 20-ish range for those next 2 years when it went to Sloan Kettering.
Yeah.
Fast forward to the years of, the past few years, and, we're averaging 60 plus boats with, 5 to 6 people on each boat, and then their whole support staff. So, in terms of donations, it went from year 1 and 2 up at Sloan Kettering, 7,000, 15,000, and now we're consistently 6-figure plus. So to Anne Arundel, since we've been at Anne Arundel, we just this year put us over $3.5 million. Wow. That's went to Anne Arundel.
Yeah. And I was talking to Brendan, just kind of doing a little bit of show prep. And he said that, was it this year or last year where you guys raised $500,000?
Yeah, it was actually, it was $600,000 in the 1 year. And it was just, and I think it could have kept going if it weren't for COVID. But this year we still were about 375.
Okay.
So,
and did you actually do a physical tournament this year, or was it no? It was all
the
virtual.
We did a physical tournament, virtual parties afterwards, which was actually really cool. People were able to keep within their groups and fundraising groups, and it worked out really nice.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just insane about this year is every single group all over the world is dealing with the same. It's just and to everyone's credit is you make it work, right? So you continue, maybe not at the same level as last year where you killed it,
right?
But you still kept it going in the hopes that next year you'll jump right back up. If everything kind of gets back to some semblance of normal. So I find that fascinating when I talk to people who do charitable type of organizations. Just what they did this year to kind of improvise. Yeah. So you actually did the physical. You actually had the physical fishing, and then you got back to the docks, and then people just got on Zoom calls. Is that how that went down?
Yes, we went back to the docks, and I got to tell you, so in the past 2 years, because the hospital has been the recipient, we and most of this has been running out of my office for all these years. The hospital kind of took a big role, and we're helping. They've got a fabulous support staff in their foundation, and the people within that foundation helped to make this virtual event happen. And we had catch and release this year, so all the fish were documented. We had in the 60 some boats, Brian. It was amazing to me because one of the guys who runs the actual weigh-in process is one of my close buddies who was here at our home for the after party.
Right.
And we found out there was more than 366 fish that were registered, not to mention people like Steve Muchler who caught 15 fish and didn't register one of them. So there was a lot of fish caught that day, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah. And what type of fish was it?
We call them rockfish. You call them striped bass.
Gotcha. Okay.
Stripers. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So this is what I find fascinating. All 60 boats, did they go out of the same harbor?
No. So it's an Annapolis-based tournament, but you can go from pretty much anywhere on the Chesapeake Bay.
Okay.
So we have guys coming, fishing from Baltimore, Annapolis, and even a little bit south of Annapolis, and then over to Maryland's Eastern Shore. Historically, we have brought the fish back to the same harbor in the Annapolis harbor, which is that's what we miss, because that weigh-in process, if you can imagine 50, 60 boats in the harbor, we have 400 plus people at the party, and you've got every fish being weighed. It's a pretty cool event. It's pretty neat to see.
Now, if I'm picturing Annapolis Harbor right now, and you got that little kind of causeway where all the small guy, little penis, humongous boat parades around the bar area right by the academy. So is it right down in there where you
right there, right?
Really?
It's at Pussers,
Okay.
Yeah, Pussers where we had,
So you guys must take over that marina.
It's a busy day, so we compete. They don't let us shut the whole harbor down because there's also the Eastport Annapolis Tug of War, which is another event that goes on that day. So we kind of compete for that, but Annapolis is hopping that day for sure.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, it's a great day.
That's awesome. So going back to the beginning, so you have the first couple. Those proceeds go to Sloan Kettering up in New York.
Yes.
And then year 3 of that tournament, you go talk to Anne Arundel. And what was that conversation like? Were they like, hey, we need you to be at a certain number in order to partner with you, or was it a pretty easy relationship?
I think, it wasn't as easy as you would think. So and I appreciate what they do. They want to make sure that they've got a good group of people that are sincere about a cause and sincere about them, because Anne Arundel is a local hospital. It's not in this area. We have like MedStar, Johns Hopkins, places, people like that are big. Right. So they want to make sure they've got real good partners. So we talked with them, and our conditions were, we wanted to control where our dollars went, because we're a 100% volunteer-based organization. So we want to steer the dollar. If we're raising, $300,000, we want all 300 to go here. Yeah. And what we do is what was important to my family during the process at Anne Arundel and throughout, even at Sloan Kettering and briefly at Hopkins, was the nurse navigators. So they're kind of like the blue collar workers, right? They're behind the scenes. It's not going to the doctors or anything like that. It's going to these nurse navigators that are helping people get through the process. So that's where we put the money.
Okay. And is that where it is? That where it goes right now? Or you said,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And earlier at Sloan, it was for genetic research, but at Anne Arundel, it's not. At Anne Arundel, it's all in that nurse navigator. And in that nurse navigator program, it opens it up to, I think now we're even helping out, like giving them some financial, navigation through part of the problems that can, nutritional issues, things of that nature. But really it's to tag somebody to be with that cancer patient and their family to get them through the process.
Gotcha. And just out of curiosity, how long was Christy sick? And
so she, she'll never admit that she was sick. I'll tell you that right now. So I gotta look around, but she ended up in at Sloan Kettering, and she ended up staying in New York for, I want to say 6 to 8 weeks, and got treatment up there. And she still continues with this Lynch syndrome. She's had some other things that have come, and they're able to detect because of the monitoring. So, but she's, she's fit as a fiddle. She's out running, 5 days a week and all that. So it was very fortunate that that David did what he did. So he put us in touch with the right people, got us to, and I don't know if you know the history, but a year and a half, 2 years later, Christy lost her younger sister to the same disease.
Oh, I did not know that.
There was not a similar course of action that was taken. And I'm not blaming that. I'm just saying we were lucky to get it swift and, get it figured out. So it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I was thinking about, and the reason why I thought this, it comes to mind, is my younger brother, who's a police officer up in New England. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, one of his buddies, who is a police officer in the next town over, was killed in the line of duty. And my brother just kind of randomly did this thing to kind of help, to just kind of honor him in his own way. Basically ran from his police station to the neighboring town's police station, whatever that was, 3 or 4 miles. And literally that turned into one of these events, just kind of organically blew up to this thing where, for the next 3 or 4 years, they had this big event, this big race. They raised a bunch of money. It was all really cool. And I don't know if they're still doing it or not. And my point is, it seemed like that one just kind of naturally just sort of fizzled out.
Okay.
Because you've been going, it's been 12 years with Anne Arundel.
Yeah.
How have you guys been keeping that going and keeping the momentum?
Brian, I think part of it has to do with the fact that in the fall, it's a good change of season. And those first few parties that we had were pretty epic. So people remember those parties. They wanted to be at that after party. We had people doing anything they could do to circumvent. We would sell out of tickets, and they would somehow break into the party scene, and it was just chaos. So we made a fun after party, right. And that's, I think, people actually look forward to, kicking the fall off with that party, that fishing tournament and party in the fall. So we do it the first weekend in November, historically, every year. So it's easy for people to put it on their calendar and figure it out.
That's great. And it doesn't take much to get a fisherman to want to go fishing.
No.
I'm still trying to picture 60 boats in that harbor, all coming in at the same time. And it must be like a parade. And are you guys coming in like late in the afternoon? I mean, is the sun starting to go down, or is it? We
do it right before sunset. So
really?
So weigh in pretty hard rules because people will the fishing, they're migratory, so they may not be up where we are in the bay, so people may travel almost to the Virginia line, which I've done before, to try and get these big fish. Right. And what you look, there's, and I can get into the mechanics of the tournament, but you don't win much, okay, in terms of for the biggest fish, but people want to win that. So we have a hard 4 o'clock shut off typically, which gives us an hour to process the fish through the weigh-in. And we've been pushing the limits on that because there's been so many fish have been brought in as of late. So
when do you guys meet, and when does it kick off in the morning? Is it like before sunrise?
Yeah, so as early as we follow the local rules. So typically sunrise is when you can start putting your lines in. But guys, we'll be out while it's dark and navigating through the rivers at night. When it's still dark out and getting out into the bay. So it's pretty interesting. But it turns into just a fun time of year. The fundraising, and I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of myself, but the fundraising for this group typically starts for most of them right around September. And when I say them, the way it's set up is each boat is challenged to raise money. So we have what's called a captain's challenge. We actually lost a friend a few years ago in a boating accident. I was actually there. And so it's named in his honor, Paul Detter. Okay. But each boat is tagged with raising money. And that's the challenge that people really want to win. So you see this board on our website where 60 boats registered, and you have guys vying each day trying to outdo the next, and it just gets addictive watching, and you keep sending your emails out, let's get the money in, and it gets kind of addictive. So you have all that going on, really starting in September-ish time frame. And then we have a very nice captain's meeting where we explain the rules, and typically that's on a Wednesday before the tournament.
Okay.
We used to do it on a Friday before the tournament, and that didn't work out too well. So, so we do it on a Wednesday, and it turns out to be a great event. And this year, even the virtual pickup and everything, it was the hospital team did a great job facilitating that. And then Saturday, it's, lines in at sunrise and back to the docks by 4 o'clock roughly, and weigh them in. And then the party, we try and shut the party down earlier these days because it just, there's so many people there. You got to be careful. So
I love it. I got to check it out sometime, because the last picture you sent, it was Petro, Chick, and I think Butch was there. So, all the old friends, which is great. Yeah,
it's fun.
So, when they start fundraising, is it just kind of you leave it up to them to figure out where to go and get the money, or do you guys send out packages? I mean, is it that organized in terms of the fundraising?
Yeah. So several years ago, we decided, it's hard for people because it's a fishing tournament, but it's also a fundraiser.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get a fisherman at times, to say, hey, I'm actually going to try and raise some money as well. So over the years, we built what we call a tackle box of some tools, some email templates and things like that they can use to get them out in front of people. And it's worked. I mean, you have guys who just, it's out of their norm to ask for money,
right? And
they do it. And, lo and behold, like a guy, I'll throw his name out there, Kerry Lynch. I can't imagine him feeling very comfortable doing it, but he's been raising thousands and thousands of dollars now each year. It's crazy to watch that happen. So they just need a couple of tools in their box, and it helps,
Yeah. And now, do you guys do any other fundraisers for Anne Arundel throughout the year, or is this the main one, and all that money gets raised for this weekend?
Yeah. So what happens is, again, keep in mind you have 60 competitive people that are on this website once your boat is registered. So what some of my competitors do is they have gone and done local restaurant fundraisers and it all goes to their boat so that they can get further up, because you want to be in the top 3 of the money raising if you can. And the top boat, a friend of ours started this years ago. We go to Goodwill and it'd be like getting a master's jacket. So we have a logo put on for Fish for Cure, Captain, nice. Champion. So they're all issued their, odd looking jackets to wear as a result of winning. So everyone wants to win the jacket,
That's right. And it's a very exclusive club. Apparently there's only probably 13 guys at the most that have one, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. So if anybody's interested in this particular event, it's called fishforacure.org is the website. And
thank you.
Greg Lilly is my guest, and he's the one that started and kind of runs it. Who helped you organize it? Was it the hospital when you first started with them, or?
No. So when I first started, it was myself and a real good buddy of mine, Tommy Whiteley, that started the first one, Swallow My Lure.
Yeah.
And then after that, we had a group of people, friends and neighbors. So Tom George, Michael Cassidy, people like that just friends that like to fish and everything, and that helped put this thing together. And over the years, and Melissa Bowen and they just all, Lexi Urisi, Adele Oliver, they all started just building this team of people that came together within their own work specialties and, helped to build it. So, and then in the past couple of years, we've turned over ownership essentially, meaning trying to get the day-to-day operations out of my office over to the hospital. And they have been taking and still using our board, guys like Keith Frazier and Ken Scaturo and all these guys, and they've been tapped into them. Alex Lapperou's just using our board to get their ideas out there and get them implemented. So
very cool. And obviously they're a part of the celebration because you can say you hand them a $600,000 check. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. They thoroughly enjoy it. And Brian, what's interesting is the hospital foundation. I'm sure you've seen other foundations. That's a tough business, and we've got kind of a fun thing going on with this tournament. So they enjoy being, and I don't mean to speak on behalf of like Sam Buckley and all these people in Jam Wood, but they enjoy being a part of it. They attend the party. Sam Buckley has been involved in the tournament for years, participating and now helping to facilitate on the hospital's end. So it's pretty cool to see. It really is.
That's awesome. Now, a couple of years ago, I obviously I'm mistaken because for some reason I thought that you did this down in Florida. But do you go down to Florida and fish, or
Yeah.
And you bring all the guys down with you, like Petro and those guys, or?
Yeah, well, David has yet to make it, but now hopefully we'll get him down there. But yeah, we bring the guys down there. We go down to a town called Vero Beach, and we do some fishing on the Indian River Lagoon and then out in the Atlantic. And we have a real good time. And we'll, I've arranged it to where we'll have like 4 guide boats, and we divvy up and split time with different people each day because. So maybe I'll fish with Butch on one day and maybe I'll fish with someone else on another day, but we mix all the guys around. So we have a real good time. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Dude, I'll tell you what, it's the fishing scene. I mean, I guess as with any passion hobby is incredible. I've got a good friend of mine, and 2 months ago we went out and caught a 190-pound bluefin tuna, which was epic.
I saw that.
Yeah, dude, that was my first time ever doing anything like that. And, I'm basically a fish out of water on this boat. It's me, my buddy, and 3 other guys, plus he hired a captain. And we left, 5 o'clock in the morning, didn't get back till 10:30 at night. We were, I think at the farthest, we were something like 40 miles southwest of San Diego. We were just out there.
Wow.
And apparently it was a great day because we saw a bunch of other boats out there doing the exact same thing. But, I mean, it's hardcore. Like my buddy who his boat it was, he's on that thing like every weekend. I mean, it's like it's like his home away from home. I mean, it's incredible. Yeah. It's incredible. Yeah. How do you do that? I mean, are you on that boat all the time or no?
Yeah, I'm on the boat quite often. Yeah. So, I mean, you have to. I'm not on it enough up here to be dialed in as much as I should. So, you got to get dialed in to where the fish are. So
now, when you guys go out for that tournament, do you hire a captain?
So I've done that in the past. This year we ran my boat. So
So you're captaining it. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So it's fun. It's a good time, man.
Yeah, it's something else. I mean, that was an impressive afternoon. I'm glad I did it. And right after that, he pinged me like 2 or 3 more times to go. And I was just like, I think I got the perfect day because it wasn't bad out there. So the sea state was actually really calm.
Good.
I couldn't imagine being out there for 15 hours in high seas and nastiness.
Yeah. My days of doing that are over. That's hard. Guys, that's a tough day out there on the ocean doing that.
And the guy that we hired, our captain, he's probably 27 years old, and that's how he makes his living, just bouncing back and bouncing around boats. And I mean, wow, that's crazy.
That is crazy. It's a neat lifestyle.
Yeah, it's neat and it's unique. And I tell you what, we're still eating that tuna fish. I mean,
that's good.
He brought me I got 50 pounds of basically sushi grade tuna out of the deal. So
wow.
I was loving it. So
that's all. Who reeled that thing in?
Well, let's see. So it was 190 pounds. we had it on that kite
Yeah.
setup where you got the flying fish on the bottom, the decoy, and
Yeah.
so that was just out there for about an hour. We hook it, and then they immediately give it to me, the reel to me, because I'm the boot. I'm the rookie on the boat.
Yeah.
And you should see a picture of us, dude. It's me looking like I just came off the golf course, and the 4 other guys on the boat are all decked out with the fishing gear. And it was hilarious. So they basically gave me the lion's share of the reel. We bounced. So there's 2 guys on the reel, and then once it got close, it took 3 or 4 guys to gaff it and get it on board.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a team effort.
It's hard to believe how powerful they are, isn't it?
Oh, dude, it's awesome. I mean, it was like my hands were numb. I mean, my back hurt. It was crazy. But
that's
again,
cool.
Because we hooked that thing, and he cuts the engine, and so we're out there just kind of bobbing around while we're bringing this thing. I can't imagine if it was like even any type of a swell out there.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah.
So and so you guys are going for bass. How big was the biggest one that was caught?
I believe it was only like 35 inches and less than 20 some pounds this year. We've had them, 49-pound fish caught. So that's been pretty cool. So
in that time of year, that's basically all that's out there. So every year you're catching the same thing.
Yeah, that's what we're targeting. We actually have to make it fair for guys in smaller boats that can't get out into the bay if it's windy or something that day. We've opened up some smaller species like perch and things like that. So people take advantage of those as well, and there's prizes to be had for that. Yeah. We open up the whole smorgasbord, but everyone's pretty much targeting the striped bass, rockfish.
I love it. Now, God damn, it's been forever since I've been down to the Chesapeake Bay, but are you guys around 60? Are there 65 boats kind of on top of each other, or do you guys spread out? And
we're spread out. Yeah. So people are getting their, what they think is their intel throughout the few weeks before, and everyone's lips are pretty tight. So, everyone's trying to stay away from each other and not say a whole lot till you have one in the box.
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
So, what is that? So this year, everyone's calling it a wash, basically.
Yeah.
COVID nastiness. As of right now, it's on. So have you started promoting for next November? Just kind of.
No. So what'll happen is what we have done, and the hospital will make this happen this year, is typically after the holiday, we'll do an announcement and we'll do a check presentation to the hospital.
Okay.
At which time then we'll start, promoting for the next year.
Yeah.
Now we won't open registration for the boats up historically until, July or August.
Right.
And that's why the fundraising doesn't really kick in until, September timeframe.
Yeah. Do you have like a minimum that boats have to raise, or is there a boat fee, and then on top of that, whatever they can bring in?
Yeah. So the way it works is, and really it's to pay for the party that we were having. So we do a $500 boat registration fee, which includes the captain and I think 3 anglers. So you get 4 guys.
Yep.
And what that buys you into the tournament, you get T-shirts, you get gear, and then you get it gets you a ticket to the party. This year, in lieu of the party, what they did is they found a very good local caterer guy, Ken's Creative Kitchen, and he did these baskets. So you would ask, like in my case, I asked my spouse, Christy, to go pick up our party basket, and it was decked out to have your own party at your house. So $500 gets you a boat, and then you get you on the board to be able to start raising money. And then after that, you pay for any added people you want to the party and stuff like that. So, and the guide is, we're not mandating that you raise a nickel, but we're asking that you try to raise a couple $1,000s. So come to the board, on, onto the website and register your boat, knowing that you need to have some friends that can help you raise a few bucks. Yeah. And I tell you, Brian, it's tough. The first few years, you had guys that really just wanted to win the Calcutta money that might be available or whatever. And we kind of discouraged it. And people, how they discouraged it was, we had one guy, this guy, Mr. Haskins, and, Calcuttas are a side bet, not part of the hospital or anything like that. So these side bets that go on, and this guy won how many thousands of dollars, and he just took the cash and he took $300 out for his fuel, and he said, "Here's the balance, give it to your charity." And that kind of started to show people in this community that it's more of a giving tournament than a receiving tournament, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and those are the best, because the bragging rights are what it's all about.
Yeah, that is what it's all about. Yeah.
So $600,000 last year to the hospital. Where does Fish for a Cure come in terms of, are you the main donor? Are you the main?
So clear. The hospital has a couple of events, and I believe we're in the top 2 of their events. I don't want to speak on their behalf, but I think we're in their top 2. So it works out good. Now they have other individual donors that, may bequeath all their assets or whatever to the hospital. So it's definitely something of significance to them.
Yeah. That's awesome. And it sounds like you got a good working business relationship. So it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere anytime soon, huh?
No, I would be surprised if this, and I'm trying to step back a little bit because I've got some stuff happening down south I'm looking at. And in terms of, being the day-to-day guy, I'll still be active in it. But I can't see this going away just because it's such a community event in the fall. I mean, I'm telling you, people just, before we've had, Brian, our kids have grown up, and we have a junior board that this Melissa Bowen had pretty much started. And, so you have all these kids that for the past 12 years, while they were in elementary school through now they're in college, and they've been active in helping to raise money.
Yeah, very cool.
They package the shirts up. They do all sorts of stuff, and they kind of see what philanthropy is about. Yeah. Our base is getting stronger in terms of the people who want to help.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
pretty
awesome.
Cool.
Where's the boat that's come the farthest distance? I mean, do you get them? Are they primarily all mid-Atlantic states, or you get some radicals that come up from Florida, or?
No, they're pretty much from here in the Chesapeake, but the interesting thing is our donations. So our donations, we have, thousands of people each year that donate, and I don't have those stats in front of me, but we've, international donations from all over the states. We get them.
Yeah.
So we have quite the presence with that. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I've talked to one of the other sort of organizations that I love that's local here, but I'm sure that they have something like this all over the country. It's an organization called Shelter to Soldier, where this guy is a professional dog trainer. That was his trade. And what he's been doing for the last 10 years, I think, 12 years, about the same time as you, is that they adopt dogs out of the kennel system, train them, and then connect them with a veteran who's suffering from PTSD or other type of injuries. And it's just an awesome organization. And I guess my question was, there's got to be every single hospital or every single area across the eastern seaboard, across the coastline, must do something like this. Do you know friends that are doing the same thing in other states, or people calling to you to kind of get some advice?
It's funny you say that. So several years ago, there is a group down in Florida that does a tournament, and they raise money for a hospital. And I could never gain traction with these people. So I was a little bit disappointed. But then fast forward to actually yesterday, and a fellow who actually is a ex-Navy pilot.
Okay.
He just moved down to uh, Wilmington, North Carolina. So he's with a firm down there that wants to do something uh, in a charitable way, and he talked to them about Fish for a Cure. So he's just asked my advice to see how we could get this like
Right.
mirrored down there in that Wilmington area.
Right.
So I'm actually intrigued with trying to help him do that. I would
Yeah.
like to do that. That would be
Oh,
fun.
very cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. This is awesome, Greg.
Yeah.
All right, I tell you what. So, real quick, we're going to transition here. Well, I got a couple other questions I want to ask Greg personally, but it's fishforacure.org,
Yeah.
and it's for the Anne Arundel Community Hospital. Is that the
Anne Arundel Medical Center.
Anne Arundel Medical Center?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it, dude. And again, the reason why I wanted to have Greg on to talk about this is it's the season for giving, both as as doing a good thing, but also to take advantage of the tax benefits of giving money. So if you still need a organization to give to, and you don't have one off the top of your head, this is actually a pretty cool thing. Greg's an awesome guy. It sounds like it's a blast.
It's fun.
I still,
Yeah.
I can't imagine what that part of the harbor looks like if there's a Naval Academy football game going on, and then there's you, and there's just the general Annapolis daytime crowd. I mean, it's got to be
Yeah.
a zoo down there.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets kind of crazy. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
I love it. So if you didn't catch this early on, Greg and I went to Hopkins together. He was a senior when I was a freshman in 1989. And it's funny because I was actually just randomly, I think either Butch or Wilkie sent me a link to the national championship game in '89. So, yeah, it brings back some good memories. But
Wow.
I wanted to ask you. Now we're going to kind of transition a little bit into the whole lacrosse thing.
Sure.
So your son Jake is what, a sophomore or a junior at Hopkins right now?
He's a junior this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at Hopkins, so you're second generation Hopkins kid. I think Jimmy Harkin is one, and I think you two are the only ones off the top of my head, right?
Dan Evans
Oh, that's right, Dano. Yep.
and then a fellow that you may not recall, but Chris Schreiber's son. If you remember Chris, he was class of '86.
I know the name, but I never met him.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, question then is, how have you seen the game? What do you think of the game right now compared to what it was when we were there?
Oh,
I always ask my buddies this because the game has changed so much right now. It's just incredible.
it has. It has. I will tell you this. I think in the past few years, I think it's gotten a lot better, a lot more tolerable for me. I think the speed, and I'm not talking about individual speed. So I think the athletes across the board, I think the athletes today are just, there's so many really good athletes across the board compared to when we were playing, for sure. But I think that the game went through a period where it slowed down, and it was just so hard for me to personally watch. I couldn't even watch it.
Yeah.
So I thoroughly enjoy them trying to up the tempo of the game. And I feel like our era and the era prior to us went a lot faster. Yeah. So I love seeing it move a lot more. I personally wish the specialization would kind of stop.
Yeah.
And it's I don't see that necessarily going away. I would love to see athletes be athletes and just let them run, and play both ways, and pull them off when you can and transition,
When you say that, the first guy that comes to mind is Rezi.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. The specialization. I mean, there's no need for 5 face-off guys.
No.
Or 4 goalies or whatever. And that's the other thing. And it'd be interesting to get Jake's take on this is what's going to happen this spring when you got an extra class that you've got, the rosters were big to begin with, and then you
Yeah.
take on another class worth of people. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, I feel bad for the coaching staffs. I mean, there's a lot of hard decisions that have to be made,
Yeah. Yeah.
And to carry the guys and them not get a taste of stepping on the field sometimes. I could imagine that's hard for a coach.
Yeah.
You're bringing these kids in and you're hopeful, and they might not be able to step on the field, and that's got to be tough on a coach as well as a player.
Yeah.
So, we were blessed. What did we have in the 30s on our squad? I mean, that's awesome. You were getting in one way, shape, or form, man.
Pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. It was. Yeah. And it's the one thing that really catches my attention, especially looking at those games, and it's hard to believe that was 31 years ago, is just the technology, the stick technology, and all of that. And it's a shame. I think personally it's a shame because you get guys like Dave Petromala, who's one of the greatest defensemen ever, one of the greatest players ever.
Yeah.
Watch him defend somebody. It's tough to see that today in today's world with the sticks the way they are. I mean, it's almost impossible to get the ball out of the guy's stick.
Yeah.
Whereas that was always exciting to watch Petro and you guys, play like that. So, it's one of those things. Everything changes. Obviously, everything goes through ups and downs, and you hope that it moves forward and in a positive direction. It's just interesting to see all that.
Yeah, sure is.
So is Jake getting up to Hopkins at all to throw around with the guys, or what's going on?
So they of course they went back in the fall. They were told not to go back by the university, but they had already signed leases, and and to be honest with you, living here at the house would be very difficult for boy. He just turned he just turned 20 in August, so it's tough. So he went up there, and it's been hard. They've not been allowed to do anything from a lacrosse perspective. So they've been working out with just his roommates essentially, and keeping it kind of minimal. I think they may be finding a field here or there to go do some stuff, but nothing. The coaching staff, I don't think, has been able to do much at all, if anything, with them.
And that's the other thing that I find really interesting, and it'll obviously play itself out starting when the season starts. Is there are actually schools that they are going to be playing against that have been back at school and have been practicing. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. Yeah.
They just got news. I don't know if you were aware of it, but. So Jake he finishes exams on the 22nd. He has to be back at school on the 27th for a COVID test on the 28th.
Wow.
If they fail the COVID test, they're out for 21 days. And their first game is, I want to say, February 12th.
No way.
It's really, it's almost like setting up for failure in a certain,
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I feel bad for those guys. I mean, having to deal with all this stuff, and
I know. Yeah, it's crazy. We'll see. I got my fingers crossed, and hope it all works out for the best. All right. So this was actually a perfect segue getting back to the fishing tournament. How things change, and you hope it's getting better. Has it changed much? I mean, do you find like you have to tweak it to make it still more enjoyable, or is it kind of on autopilot right now? What are you doing to keep the excitement amongst the captains?
Well, I tell you, I mean, this year, and again, I have to credit the girls, Brianna and Sam and these guys over in Anne Arundel. They created, they got some people involved, like a young man that had graduated from Clemson, who's a local guy who started a company called Kanga Coolers. And they got this guy, Kanga Coolers, involved, and they did these customized coolers for, beer coolers or whatever, which is pretty cool. So it people kind of want that when you're spending $500 to enter a tournament. You want your T-shirts, you want that. So the team at the hospital and the people on the board make creative shirts and giveaways and stuff like that to keep them kind of coming back. But the party is, it's every year you get some complaints about, was the food great or was it not great? How's the band? This, that, and the other. We kind of gotten through most of those issues, and for some of it, we have to turn a deaf ear because you can't please everybody, But I think at the end of the day, when they hear the amount of money that we all have raised, everyone puts it in the rearview mirror and they're happy to be a part of it. Yeah. That's my take on it.
Yeah. And now, do you know the number when the tournament goes, or do you have to wait a couple of weeks to find out what the final tally was? Or are you up there telling them, hey guys, this is what we did? So
it's pretty much on the website. It's transparent because people want to win that jacket, right? So the numbers, I'd say 80% of the numbers are transparent live. Like you can see, okay, wow, we're at 300. The only thing you don't see that is either we do some corporate fundraising. So let's just say GMS donated 10,000. Well, that's not part of the Captain's Challenge money. So that 10,000, it may go, 4,000 of that may go to pay for the party or the food or something like that. Right. But then there might be 6,000 of profit. Then they dump that money on at the end on top of what you see. Yeah. So typically what you see on the boards is at minimum of what's going to be donated, which is pretty cool. That's so awesome. People have a good sense of it. And I'm telling you, Brian, with that year of the 2 years in a row, we have a guy, Brian Heller, who is he and his wife have just been doing an incredible job of fundraising. He lost this year, but he did a great job. And he has these friends that are just behind him and his family. And I'm sure that he had friends that were at the table, making $1,000 donations at the end of the night just to see his boat win. Yeah. Which is really, it's really cool. Yeah. It's just cool. Yeah.
Now, are you emceeing the party with all that stuff?
Oh man, no way. No, we had some guys. Tom George is one guy that we use a lot to do it now. We had one of my favorites of all time was a great friend of mine, Jeff Crane, and he happened to be overserved the one night that he was doing. So it turned out great. So no, Tom George typically does a great job. Yeah. He takes command of that microphone and does good. So
I love it. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, man. Let's hope COVID goes away so we can get back to some semblance of normalcy.
Yeah, so, agreed.
What's are you going out this weekend? I mean, do you take the boat out every weekend?
I'll take it out as much as I can. Yeah. So depending on the winds and everything. So right now what we've got is, again, we've got those big fish that are starting to come in from up north. Yeah. It's funny, last March, when all the things got shut down, my son Jake is not a huge fisher guy. So believe it or not, he doesn't like to get out there with me much. But I said, Jake, man, you got to try. We've been getting out this catch and release season. And Brian, I swear, Jake is 6'5". He's holding the fish. The fish, it was easily 48 inches long. It was over 40 pounds, closer to 50-pound fish that he dragged out. So we've got his attention a little bit now after him seeing what you can get out there.
He better get his act together because he's going to take over someday.
Yeah, he needs to. That's exactly right.
I love it. I tell you what, dude, this is awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good stuff.
I really appreciate it, and like I said, I love. I talked to Brendan earlier in the year about some of the charity work that he does and some of the volunteer work that he does, and it's just awesome to see you guys making it happen.
He's inspiring. I tell you, he truly is. He does a lot. So
I didn't realize that either. I talked to him about one specific thing, and then all of a sudden it mushroomed into everything that he's doing, which is awesome.
Yeah, he does that one that I like a lot is he's involved with that Troy Vance Foundation.
Yeah. Yep.
Which that was just last weekend.
Okay.
And they did it virtual as well.
Yeah.
And it turned out it was a very interesting what they did. They ended up giving you would buy tickets to get meals from the Mount Washington Tavern.
Yep.
And you could divvy out the meals however you wanted. So it was pretty cool.
Nice.
So,
That's the one thing about the whole COVID crap is this can go next year. Can go either one or two ways. Either these type of charity events either kind of start to whittle away or tread water, or people are so excited to get back into it that they're just record,
Yeah.
And hopefully and the optimist in me says that I think that that's what's going to happen. I mean, everybody that I know is chomping at the bit to get back to some level of normalcy.
Sure. Yeah.
There's nothing better than 500 people on the docks in Annapolis. I'm sure it's got to be awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a fun day.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, man. So it's fishforacure.org is Greg's particular charity, and the annual fishing tournament, which is the first week of November. So anybody who's listening to this on the East Coast and the Eastern Seaboard and the Mid-Atlantic states, if you're up for it or interested, and you think you got what it takes, then get on the website.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
I love it. And just to close it out here, Chrissy's been fine for a while, right? I mean, it's
yes.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And how is she involved with all of this? Is she she behind the organization? Or
yeah. She enjoys going to the party and dancing. That's what she likes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we always have great bands, and she enjoys the party part of it.
I love it. Well, hey, tell her I say hello.
Will do.
Again, this is Greg Lilly, fishforacure.org. Great charity fishing tournament. Clubber, it's been great talking to you, brother.
Good talking to you, man. Thank you so much.
Oh, dude, it's my pleasure. I love talking to you, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again, at least in person sometime next spring, watching a lacrosse game.
Sounds great.
All right. Hey, I'm going to finish off by saying if you're in the military, the police department, the fire department, and first responders, if that's you out there, thank you very much for your service. Stay safe. Greg Lilly. Thanks, brother.
Thanks. Hi to Mimi.
Will do, my man. Hey, This is the Rain Man. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching Rain Man's Take, observations on the world we live in. If you like the content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. You can also follow Rain Man's Take on Instagram at Rain Man's Take. Also, check out our website at www.rainmanstakepodcast.com and send your comments to rainmanstake@gmail.com. Keep an eye out for future podcasts, which will be coming out every Thursday at 5 p.m. West Coast time.